My name's Dale, and for 11 months, somebody in my office was stealing my lunch out of the break room fridge. I complained 12 times. 12. HR did nothing. So on the 13th time, I stopped complaining, and I let my doctor solve the problem for me. What happened next got a grown man arrested by his own front desk, in front of the whole department mid-bite. If you've ever had someone smaller than you, a coworker, a neighbor, a roommate, take advantage of you over and over because they knew you'd never actually do anything about it, you are going to love this one. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and settle in, because this is one of the most satisfying, be careful what you steal stories I've ever gotten to tell. Let me back up and introduce myself properly. I'm Dale. At the time this happened, I was in my late 30s, working mid-level logistics for a mid-sized distribution company. The kind of place with a break room fridge, a laminated sign-in sheet nobody used, and a shared kitchen everybody claimed to respect and nobody actually did. I'd worked there almost 6 years. I wasn't the loudest guy in the office. I wasn't the guy who started drama. I was the guy who packed his lunch every single morning before work, because with 2 kids and a mortgage, $12 a day on takeout wasn't a lifestyle. It was a slow leak in my bank account I couldn't afford. So every morning, rain or shine, I made a sandwich. Nothing fancy. Turkey, sometimes ham, good bread, a little mustard, and this detail matters. So hang on to it. A small container of homemade avocado sauce I made myself. My wife used to tease me about it. Dale's secret sauce, she called it. I put it on everything. It was, without question, the best part of my lunch. I'd walk in, write Dale, do not touch on the bag in Sharpie, set it in the break room fridge, and go do my job. And about once every 3 weeks, it would just vanish. The first time it happened, I laughed it off. People make mistakes. Maybe somebody grabbed the wrong bag. I went hungry that day, bought a sad vending machine sandwich, and moved on. The second time, I stopped laughing. By the 4th time, I started noticing a pattern. It was never on a Monday. It was always a Tuesday or a Wednesday, always sometime between 11:45 and 12:15, and it was always, when my avocado sauce was in the bag. The plain sandwiches with nothing special on them, never touched. Only the good ones disappeared. Someone in that building had a taste for my cooking, and zero respect for the fact that it belonged to me. I did what you're supposed to do. I went to HR. I filled out the little incident form. I got the standard response. We'll send out a reminder email about respecting shared kitchen space. And for about a week, it would stop. Then it would start right back up. By the 12th report, 12, over about 11 months, I was sitting across from an HR rep named Patricia, watching her type my complaint into a system that I was now fully convinced went absolutely nowhere. She had that tired, practiced sympathy on her face, the look of someone who has said, "We take this seriously," so many times it's lost all meaning. "We'll look into it," she said. I felt something tighten in my chest. Not rage exactly, something colder than rage. The specific, simmering frustration of being a reasonable person who has done everything the right way, 12 separate times, and gotten absolutely nothing for it. I remember sitting in my car in the parking lot afterward, hands on the wheel, just staring at nothing. I wasn't hungry angry anymore. I was done angry. The kind of done where you stop asking permission from a system that's already told you 12 times. That isn't going to help you. The breaking point actually didn't happen at work. It happened at my annual physical. A few weeks later, my doctor, a guy named Reyes, who'd been my doctor for years and had heard me vent about plenty over the course of various appointments, asked how things were going. I don't even know why I brought up the lunch thief. Maybe I just needed to vent to someone who wasn't going to type it into a system and forget about it. I told him the whole saga. 12 reports. Nothing done. My avocado sauce gone again and again into some stranger's stomach. He got this look on his face, half amused, half something else. Then he asked, completely deadpan, "So, are you constipated then?" I blinked. "No." "Why?" He didn't answer right away. He just wrote something on his prescription pad, tore it off, and slid it across the desk. It was a prescription-strength laxative. Serious stuff, not the gas station kind. And underneath the dosage, in his doctor's scrawl, were the words, "Mix into a meal for maximum effect." I looked up at him. He looked at me. Neither of us said anything for a second, and that's when the plan formed, fully assembled, in my head. I wasn't going to poison anyone. I want to be clear about that, because this matters. This was a legitimately prescribed medication for me, for a real digestive issue I did have, with real medical instructions on how to take it. What I was about to do wasn't sabotage. It was just making sure my prescribed medicine ended up exactly where it was supposed to, in a meal that was mine, that somebody else had no business eating in the first place. If they didn't want my medication, the fix was simple. Stop stealing my lunch. I picked my Tuesday carefully, sauce day. That morning, I made the sandwich exactly like always. Turkey, good bread, mustard. And then, following doctor's orders to the letter, I mixed the prescribed dose directly into a fresh batch of my avocado sauce. Stirred it in smooth. No taste difference. No texture difference. Just insurance. I wrote Dale, "Do not touch," on the bag like I always did. I set it in the fridge like I always did. And then I went back to my desk and did something I hadn't done in 11 months. I stopped worrying about my lunch. Around 11:50, I walked past the break room like normal, and I saw it, my bag, gone from the shelf. Right on schedule. I didn't feel angry this time. I felt calm. The kind of calm that comes from knowing you've already won, and you're just waiting for everyone else to catch up. I bought myself a sandwich from the corner shop, sat at my desk, ate lunch in peace for the first time in almost a year, knowing that somewhere in that building, somebody was about to have a very different afternoon than they were expecting. About an hour after lunch, I walked down to HR and reported 2 things. My lunch was stolen again, I told Patricia. She sighed, already reaching for the incident form. Okay, so you got hit by the lunch thief again. There's a second part, I said. My medication was in that bag. She looked up. You're what? I've been having some digestive issues, I said, keeping my voice level almost bored. My doctor prescribed a laxative. He advised me to mix it into my midday meal for it to work properly. It was in the sauce, in my sandwich, in the bag that somebody just took off the shelf that had my name written on it in permanent marker. I watched the color drain out of Patricia's face in real time. What did you just say? I mixed a prescription-strength laxative into my lunch, per my doctor's instructions, for my medical condition. I let that sit for a second. Whoever's been stealing my food for the last 11 months just ate it. Because taking someone's prescribed medication without their knowledge is a genuinely serious matter, legally. Not just as an office prank. The situation moved fast. Security got pulled in, and it didn't take long to find out exactly who our lunch thief was, because he made it very easy. The lead supervisor from the department 1 floor over was locked in the men's room, dealing with the absolute worst afternoon of his professional life. When he finally came out, pale, furious, humiliated, he stormed straight at me and accused me of poisoning his food. I looked him dead in the eye. At what point? I said. Did you get the idea that my food was for you? He didn't have an answer for that, because there wasn't one. And furthermore, I added, thanks to you, I no longer have the medication I was prescribed for an actual medical condition, so now I've got that problem to deal with too. That was the moment I watched him understand exactly how much trouble he was in. He shut his mouth, and from what I heard later, didn't open it again without a lawyer in the room, because he'd knowingly and repeatedly stolen food that wasn't his, and because this time it involved someone else's actual prescribed medication. It stopped being an HR problem and became a legal one. He was let go within the week. I later heard he ended up with fines and community service over it. A buddy of mine from way back ended up stepping into his old position not long after. And me. I started bringing my lunch again, sauce and all. And for the first time in almost a year, it was still there when I went to eat it. Here's the thing about this whole situation. I reported it the right way 12 times. 12. I did everything you're supposed to do. And the system just shrugged at me. Over and over. Until I stopped asking it for permission and let a legitimate, doctor-prescribed solution take care of itself. Sometimes karma doesn't need help. It just needs you to stop protecting the person who's been taking advantage of you. If this story gave you a little bit of secondhand justice, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying instant karma story you've ever witnessed at work? And if you want more stories like this one, hit subscribe, because this channel is full of them.